got a 2014 Audi A6 TDI S-Line Prestige. I'm just about to roll over 100,000 miles, and I kind of figured, you know what, might as well do a little video. I know these cars aren't exactly rare, but this one I think is a little bit more unique just because it is a TDI and it's basically fully loaded. It has every option other than the executive colors, or exclusive colors, I'm sorry. But basically it has every option, which from what I understand is kind of rare because a lot of people that have the TDIs tend to go with kind of base options. They don't really tend to go with the fully loaded versions, but just want to kind of do a little walk around, just talk about some of the features and basically what issues I've had, or how well it's been. I bought it with about 88,000 miles, something like that on it, and like I said, it's just about to roll over 100,000 miles. Yeah, the cool part is this is Phantom Black Pearl, and the interior color is black. Now, at first I wasn't really sure about this color trim. I'm not a big wood grain fan on cars, but on this car it honestly kind of grew on me. They had a couple other options. There was like a silver, black piano, and then on stuff like the S6 you can get carbon fiber. But the cool part is this car does have the Bang Olufsen Sound System, and if you want, I'll kind of show you all the other little features. All right, so cool part is does have the electronic screen in the center, so when you have navigation stuff, you can actually, it'll show you what direction to turn and stuff in the center. Now this is a 2014. I think it was 2015 or 2016. They had basically like Google Earth displayed on the center. This one, of course, won't have that, but it does have a couple other features that make up for it. Now, the bad part about the 2014s, the navigation would run on a 3G network. So you would actually get, I think it's in here. Yeah, I think SIM card would normally slide into here. And basically you would get a SIM card from a phone company, and I think it was AT&T or something. And as far as like your maps and everything, all of that would be updated pretty much over a network. So it was actually pretty cool to have that ability to get kind of updates as often as possible, like pretty much as if it was a regular cell phone. So the cool part about this car, being that it's got the Bang Olufsen Sound System, and being a prestige model, as soon as you start up the car, which you just do with the push with the start button here, screen will come out. The tweeters over here, you can see, rise up. And overall this car has actually a really great sound system. It's stock of 1400 watt sound system, and it comes with like subwoofer and everything else. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's got a lot of really cool features. So like I said, instead of the navigation being displayed in that center screen, one thing that is actually kind of cool is this car does have night vision. So at night, if a deer or something walks out in front of your car, you'll actually see it in white, pretty bright on that screen, and you'll actually see it even though your headlights don't show it. You'll actually see it through the screen. All right, so just like a lot of other cars that Audi offers, this one does have the drive select, so you can actually choose between kind of preset things for your suspension and steering and everything. On this car, however, go to this menu. For suspension, a lot of cars have, you can adjust your suspension. You can make it like softer, harder. This one, unfortunately, because it's a TDI, they tend to go with like a more of a sport suspension from the start. So because of that, you don't have the ability to adjust the suspension. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people complain that it's a little bit too rigid, a little too much of a sport suspension. I personally don't mind it. I actually think it's got a pretty smooth ride, so I'm pretty happy with it. All right, so the navigation, it's decent. It's not like, a lot of cars nowadays have a little better navigation systems. This one's pretty decent. You can set, you can have like all the icons, like it'll show you where gas stations and stuff exist, Audi dealers, all sorts of stuff. So you can kind of add custom preferences to it. It's been pretty good. When I set destination, like I said, it will actually display on this part here too. And this car also has heads-up display. So that's actually pretty cool because it'll show you arrows and everything as to where you're going to make a turn and stuff coming up. It'll also, because this car has the lane assist, which I'll turn on, it'll actually show you the lane assist too. So this is all the information that is displayed on the heads-up display. On the far right, again, lane assist, your miles per hour in the center, and then for navigation, it just gives you the arrows, and then kind of to the right of the arrow is kind of like how soon your turn is going to be coming up. Because it is the S-Line, it does have paddle shifters. It does have kind of the S6 style steering wheel, although I believe in 2013, at least on some models, they had the flat bottom steering wheel. This one doesn't have the flat bottom. It's all right though. It does have the heated steering wheel, which is cool. Again, you have different menus on the screen that you can navigate through too. It's got the compass and stuff like that too. But overall, this is a really comfortable car. I bought this car in Idaho while working at Illinois at the time, and I drove it 1,680 miles back in about 24 hours. When I got back, it was like I was not sore. I was like super comfortable. This car does have the heated and cooled front seats, and I believe it's got heated rear seats too. But that's actually a really nice feature. One of the issues I've had in previous Audis is, especially during the summer, the seats tend to get a little sweaty, even if you have the air conditioning on. Your back gets a little sweaty, so it's kind of nice to have the air conditioned seat. So one cool thing is the sound system in this car. It does have kind of a built-in hard drive, plus a couple SD slots. So if you have an SD memory card with some music, you can actually upload them into the hard drive here. It also has the ability to wirelessly, like through Bluetooth, play music from your phone or device. It seems pretty good. You don't get all the album images and stuff like you normally would on like the newer ones. So I think in 2016 at least, maybe 2015, but 2016 I know for sure, they had kind of a updated MMI system on this car, and it will actually show like the album cover picture and everything. But yeah, on this, it works pretty good though. I got no complaints. A lot of people have the impression that diesel cars are really loud and obnoxious. This car actually is really quite quiet. Doesn't really, if you're unaware that this is a diesel car, there's no signs that you would, other than the badge on the trunk, that it's a diesel. It seems actually really quiet. It's got a lot of torque. I think horsepower wise it's something like 250 horsepower, but it's got 429 foot-pounds of torque. So it's a 3-liter turbo diesel, and overall, like I said, this car is actually really comfortable to drive. And although the suspension is a little stiffer than the equivalent like 3-liter supercharged V6 models, I have no complaints. It's actually really comfortable. One thing that I really love about this car, in the past I've had 3 other Audis and they've been pretty decent on gas, but this one, when you're driving on the highway, I was getting about 725 miles on a full tank. When you're driving in the city, I average about 30 to 40 miles per gallon, somewhere in that ballpark. Depending again if I'm in rush hour traffic and stuff. But overall, this car is actually really good on gas, and that's part of the reason why you don't tend to see a lot of these with the options that this one has. A lot of people again buy the TDIs, to save money on gas, stuff like that, have smaller fuel costs, get better gas mileage. They didn't tend to buy these cars to for the luxury part, for the options and stuff. So I was lucky to find this one with all the options. This one has a couple of options that apparently were an added extra, which I didn't even know was an option. Stuff like the black headliner. Normally I think this would have had kind of a grayish beige color headliner, and as you can see, the whole headliner is solid black, which is really cool. So one other cool part about this car is it had the original window sticker that came with it, and it's kind of rare to still have window stickers with cars that are this old. I know it's not super old, but still nice to have that. Yeah, and like you can see here, this car was almost an $80,000 car with all the options, which is actually really cool. Yeah, this has pretty much every package you can order on this car, which is awesome. The gas mileage, like I said, it says 24 city, 38 highway. I was actually getting higher than 38 on my way back, so it's actually a little better than that, but I guess it all really depends on how you drive these. Trunk space on this car is actually really pretty massive. The back seats fold down too, so you can store stuff all the way across the back of the back seat. I was actually really shocked how much space you can fit in the back of this car. I've had the previous generation of the A6, and I remember with that car I could load up quite a bit. I kind of have a feeling that this one has an even larger trunk than that one, or at least it feels that way. The taillights have a pretty cool look. I did have an issue at one point with this section of the taillight not working. I was able to find just a used taillight lens, and that fixed that problem. It's got the 20-inch rotor wheels. Those are one of my favorite wheels that Audi has available. It's got the daytime running lights, and what's kind of cool with these headlights is those are individual LED lights, which is really cool. These are the radars for the adaptive cruise control. there's the camera for the front. This is the night vision camera. And up here, basically right there is where the lane assist camera is. Now, one thing I will say, for anyone who's looking to buy any of these Audi A6s, so far I've had pretty good luck with this car. I haven't really had any major issues. I have had, though, the adaptive cruise control stop working, and the reason it stopped working was actually the lane assist camera stopped working. So unfortunately they had to replace the lane assist camera, and then when they replaced that, everything started working again. But you know, they got to go through a calibration and all sorts of stuff, and I think that was right around like $6,000. It was quite expensive. But so far that's really been the only major issue. The only other issue I've really had with this car was with this screen here. And every time you start up the car, the screen comes up. When you turn off the car, the screen retracts. So on this car, there's two wires that connect the display. So it's like if any of those wires break, you basically just have a black screen. Now with Audi, they used very rigid wires, and I mean, just like anything, over time you keep on bending it and everything, over time it eventually becomes brittle and it snaps. That's what happened in the case of my car. It's super common. It's something where, you know, you can remove this trim, you can, you know, basically get behind that screen, remove the screen even, and re-splice those wires together. I just added a little length of wire that's a little bit more flexible wire, just for that reason, just so it doesn't happen again. But ever since then, it's been great. Haven't had an issue. The other cool part with this car is there are cameras all the way around. So try to get this all in motion here. So you do have the top view, you do have the rear view, you could do rear corner views, front view, front corner views, and top view, which again, that comes in handy. It's not the clearest video, like it kind of looks a little skewed from certain angles, but for something from 2014, I think it actually works pretty well. I got no complaints. The other cool part too with this that I forgot to mention earlier, so if you want to type in information on the screen, so like if for navigation, if you want to type in, say, Bloomington, instead of going through, you know, typing this out, kind of going through and typing each letter out, you can actually use the little screen here.
L O O M.
So you can actually type that in. When you go to the radio station, I believe, it now shows kind of your radio preset buttons. So that's actually really cool too. It does have the electric parking brake. It's got a lot of cool features. I mean, overall this car has like a lot of really cool features. And you know, again, I bought this car because I do a lot of highway driving, and I wanted to have something that was like super comfortable, something that I wouldn't have to worry about you know, getting really bad gas mileage. I wanted something that I can just get in and drive, and this thing has been an awesome highway cruiser. One other nice thing is, because this is the Prestige, it has little accent lighting. I don't know if you could see on the other side, if it shows up in the video, but there's lighting kind of underneath underneath here, and then also underneath here. There's also lighting kind of above the pedals. And back seat. Also on the doors here, you also have the accent lighting. Plus you have the little accent lighting down here. But in the center you got the climate control, which is nice. You also have a little storage area. Sorry about the darkness here. Overall, for anyone who's looking at buying one of these, they're great cars. The unfortunate part is the TDI models. Unfortunately, I think 2016 was last year you can get a TDI in the US, all because of that whole Dieselgate thing. So it really kind of sucks because there's a lot of people that bought these that just drove them nonstop, put a ton of miles on them. So when I was looking, I was finding a lot that had anywhere from about 150,000 to over 300,000 miles, which is great because, you know, if people are getting 300,000 miles out of them, that's great. But it's not great if you're looking for something that has super low miles and has all the options. There's very few options out there, so you know, that's why, again, I had to buy this one from Idaho. This car in particular was a corporate-owned vehicle and like a corporate fleet vehicle, which if you ever have the opportunity to buy a fleet vehicle, I would definitely suggest it because I've owned two of them and both of them have been very well maintained. Anytime a company can write off maintenance costs and everything else for a vehicle, you know, it's kind of a situation where they tend to get all the maintenance done a little bit more regularly, and especially if they're nicer cars, you know, a lot of times it's executives or someone who are the ones that get these cars as their corporate owned vehicle, so they don't typically get beaten on like you would a rental car. Another kind of cool thing is this car does have the blind spot monitors, but unlike a lot of car companies that put arrows or something on here, this one, when you turn it on, lights up on the inside, so it's like you can see it really well. It's not blinding and it doesn't take up real estate on your actual mirror, so that's actually really nice too. Alright, so as you can tell, this car, I'm doing 82 and it's like this car is like super smooth. I mean, it's comfortable. It's one of those cars that if you're not paying attention, you could actually be driving faster than you really think you're driving. It's like just very comfortable and you don't really, your sense of acceleration seems almost skewed because it's like it gets up to speed pretty quick with all the torque it has. And like I said, this car has, I guess according to the window sticker, 240 horsepower and 429 foot-pounds of torque, but it's plenty. I mean, you get up and go, you move pretty well. It's actually really more than sufficient. There it is, 100,000 miles. I have now officially gotten 100,000 miles. Now, when I bought this car, again, I think I bought it with 88,000 miles. I bought this car maybe about a year and a half ago, something like that. And I think I paid $25,000 for it, which at the time seemed like a pretty good price. It seemed like there was a lot of them in the 30s, as far as TDIs, of course. You know, if you want the 3.0 supercharged V6, there's a lot of options. Like, there's a lot more of those available, and you know, you can get those for quite a bit cheaper. As far as the TDIs go, again, trying to find a prestige TDI, especially the S-Line model. The S-Line is, again, the sport package, so it gives it more of the S6 appearance. So, you know, it came with the better, like with the 20-inch rotor wheels. This one has the black optics package too, so it, you know, basically instead of chrome trim on the outside, it's all blacked out. Essentially everything you see on this car that, you know, that you see in this video is exactly the way the car would have came stock, except for the tinted windows and the trailer hitch. Don't ask me about the trailer hitch. The trailer hitch, from what I understand, that's kind of a Euro thing, that in Europe, a lot of people that have diesel vehicles tend to put trailer hitches on. I'm not really sure why. But anyways, during the time I've owned this car, again, I bought the car for about $25,000. And I think, other than the lane assist camera, which again, I think it was at the dealership, of course, so it's more expensive, but I think that was about $6,000 through the dealership. Other than that, the taillight I bought for, I think, $180, something like that. And as far as the screen goes, the wires, I fixed that myself. Everything else has actually been pretty bulletproof. I mean, this car's been a great car. Have no plans on ever selling it, and honestly, hitting 100,000 miles was kind of like bittersweet, because, you know, I kind of want to keep this car as long as possible, and the more mileage I put on it, obviously the more wear and tear is going to be on the car. And you know, I've gone through 3 other Audis previous. I had a 2006 Audi S4, a 2005 Audi A6 S-Line with a 4.2 liter, and a 2010 Audi S5 Prestige with the supercharged V6 that had everything APR makes done to it. So it's the APR Stage 2 Plus. And that car was great. I really, you know, loved that convertible S5, but the dealership in Bloomington, Illinois, destroyed the motor basically on it. So since that happened, the car was never really the same. And, you know, I knew I needed something that was a little bit better for road trips and everything. I travel in, like, I work in robotics, so it's like I travel for my job all over the US, and really I need something that I can drive cross country if I need to in comfort, so I'm not sore and falling asleep at the wheel. And I mean, this car, like I said, this car's been a great car for all that. I really can't complain at all. So anyways, I know, like, there's other people out there who have had Audi A6s, like the C7 A6, that have had tons of problems. And a lot of, you know, I've had people tell me before that they couldn't stand these cars because they just had problem after problem after problem. I mean, I could just speak for myself. This car has been a great car, and I'm really glad that I bought it, and don't regret it for a second. So again, I think the maintenance has a lot to do with it, how well it's been maintained. But anyone who's thinking about buying one of these, like I said, if you can find one that has meticulous records, like this one has always been serviced at Audi dealers. It had, like, extensive records, and again, being a corporate fleet vehicle, I think really helped, because in a lot of these cars I've noticed, Audis, Mercedes, BMWs in general, there's a lot of people that buy the cars, and they can afford to buy the car, but then when it comes to maintenance, all of a sudden they're like, yeah, you know, I don't know, an oil change that's like over $100, that doesn't make sense. And you know, well, it's asking for this service interval, and it's $2,000 for the service interval. I'll just, you know, I don't need to get all that stuff done. And unfortunately, when you have, you know, maintenance that hasn't been done, that's the reason why a lot of people buy Audis and Mercedes and BMWs that end up being money pits, because it had deferred maintenance. So don't buy one that had deferred maintenance. If you're looking for one, find one that has as many service records as possible. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, comment, like, subscribe. I'm still hoping I'll be able to make a couple more videos on the Lincoln and more with the Ferrari and the Evo and stuff like that. So just keep an eye out for more videos, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.